Alright folks, we're back with another episode of the Anime Sports Network's highlight reel. This time, ASPN is covering all the excitement featured in Dragon Ball Super. You can't even talk about Dragon Ball Super without mentioning its most epic arc, the Universe Survival Saga. It starts in an innocent enough way with Goku bored of his life as a farmer. He then pressures Zeno into starting the Tournament of Power. Things take a real hard right turn once Goku gets his wish though. Turns out Goku's competitive nature put the entire multiverse at risk. Zeno announces that the winning universe will be the only one left standing while all others are erased from existence. This officially makes the Tournament of Power the most intense fighting tournament since the Cell games before it's even begun. This eventually leads to Goku forming his own Universe 7 Avengers of all the best heroes and villains of the world. He brings in Piccolo, the Super Namekian, Gohan, Slayer of Cell, Krillin, the #1 sidekick, old Tien 3 Eyes, and Roshi, the original master. Not only that, but he also brings in bad guys like the evil android twins and his arch nemesis Frieza. All of them, along with his best frenemy Vegeta, the Prince of all Saiyans, Team Universe 7 was ready for trouble. Too bad there was more trouble waiting for them than they were planning on. The Tournament of Power featured a ton of memorable moments worth highlighting. There's the evil plots of alternate universe Frieza, Frost. Then there's the dirty move where Goku shot a Kamehameha wave right in Kefla's face as she was about to win. The main event came when Goku and Jiren finally squared off. It was what the entire tournament had been building to and ended up as the defining moment of the series. Jiren is possibly the toughest character in the franchise, forcing Goku to use Ultra Instinct just to keep up with him. Even this wasn't enough, as he had to team up with Frieza just to force him out of bounds. This led to one of the biggest twists of the series, as Android 17 won everything and wished all the universes back to life. Does that act of multiversal altruism make up for all the people blasting he did earlier? Someone do the math on that and get back to me. Regardless, Dragon Ball Super went out on a high note as it delivered the best tournament in the franchise and one of the best in anime history. To be honest, how are they ever gonna do another tournament again? You can't really top multiversal destruction as far as stakes go. Zeno does love tournaments though, so we'll probably find out and cover it as long as our universe lasts. Future Trunks was the coolest guy in Dragon Ball Z and had one of the best entrances in anime history. He managed to slice the biggest bad guy in the series into slices so thin he could have sold foot-long Frieza sub sandwiches. So everyone was eager to see him return to the franchise in Dragon Ball Super. Last time he took out a big enemy, but this time he brought one. We checked back in with him to see that the happy ending he thought he'd get when he went home was short-lived. Turns out there's a new enemy who's destroying the few scraps of life that Android 17 and 18 left. Man, Future Trunks' timeline makes the Skynet-ravaged future from the Terminator movies look like an amusement park. Then came the most epic villain reveal of the entire series when we saw that the villain was none other than an evil Goku. The arrival of Goku Black set the internet on fire for about a week. The series struggled fully getting out of Dragon Ball Z's long shadow, but this was the moment when Dragon Ball Super proved itself. There was still plenty of surprises left in the franchise, and it had just gotten started. The ultimate reveal is that Goku isn't actually the main villain at all. It's actually a disgruntled Kai named Zamasu. We've seen a lot of these types of celestial characters from King Kai to the Supreme Kai. It's fascinating to see one of them go rogue and to understand the threat that would cause to the multiverse. It makes Zeno's plan to wipe most of the universes out make sense. Zamasu is also one of the most methodical villains in the series. He manipulates time and makes the wise choice to switch bodies with Goku and make an ally of his future self. In fact, he is so deadly that our heroes aren't even the ones who take him out. Beerus and Lord Zeno are the ones who end up finishing him off. This makes the Zamasu saga one of the most unique of the franchise. In a way, Goku, Trunks, and the rest were just bystanders in a celestial confrontation. It's unlikely we'll ever quite see a villain like him again. Well, until the day Zeno inevitably goes evil. No one can really be that cheery all the time. It is unnatural. There are things about Dragon Ball Super that some fans weren't really happy about. One of those things was the treatment of adult Gohan. In Dragon Ball Z, he'd become one of the greatest fighters in the franchise. When we catch up to him in Dragon Ball Super, he's left all that behind. In fact, he's portrayed somewhat as a loser, despite the fact that he's an honorable family man and a good dad. Little did we know that it would just be a small pit stop for his character arc as he jumped back into the game. One of the coolest things in Super has been seeing Gohan retrain himself to get back into fighting shape. He not only pushes himself far enough that he's able to spar with his father again, but manages to develop his own style. Gohan, no longer tied to the Super Saiyan forms, is one of the greatest fighters in the series once more. As we all know, the sky's the limit for this hero, and we look forward to seeing him steal the glory from Goku yet again. After the Tournament of Power, it didn't seem like Dragon Ball Super could possibly top itself. Little did we know that the series would be going all the way back to the beginning to give us an origin for 3 separate Saiyans. We'd seen glimpses of the Saiyan culture before, but nothing so in-depth as the beginning of the Broly movie. We got to see how Vegeta, Broly, Goku, and Frieza were all set on the paths that would lead them to collide later in the film. Much has been written about how the Dragon Ball series is so good at action sequences, but this is the perfect example of its fantastic world. The Saiyan culture feels fully fleshed out and tragic as we see the final hours before Frieza obliterates it for funsies. The rest of the movie is great, but the focus on the planet Vegeta might be some of the best writing in the franchise. That's why we gave it our ASPN Golden Pen Award for writing excellence. We tried to get Akira Toriyama to accept the award personally, but he was very uninterested and demanded we leave his home immediately. Creative types. Always so dramatic, am I right? The Broly film ended up building to some of the greatest action sequences ever animated for the franchise. We got to see Vegeta and Goku both go all out on Broly in a way that really exemplified the best traits of both characters. Not only that, but we got to see Broly push the two of them to their limits faster than any other villain ever has. Most of the time, villains will take an entire saga to push Vegeta and Goku to their limits. Broly manages to do it in just a few hours. This makes the argument about the DBS bad guy MVP much harder. Answer that one for us fans. Broly or Jiren? Which one you got? In fact, the two are pushed so hard that they are forced to combine into Gogeta just to take him down. Broly ended up getting away in the end, so we'll probably see more of the legendary Super Saiyan in the future. That and the movie made a ton of money. It made $30 million in the United States alone, so it's kind of a surprise they haven't announced the Broly spin-off series by now. The original showdown between Frieza and the Z Fighters is so epic that an entire planet exploded due to sheer awesome overload. So when it came to follow a literal god antagonist, they decided to go with the best of the best. Frieza was resurrected from the cutest afterlife of all time and was ready to wreak havoc on our warriors again. What was really cool about Resurrection F is that this was the first time we actually got to see the Frieza Force in full action. Sure, we'd seen squads like the Ginyu Force attack, but nothing like a full army. Watching Roshi, Gohan, Piccolo, and the team take on waves of alien enemies was like a present to all the loyal Dragon Ball fans out there. We see what you did there, team. We appreciate it. In fact, it would be cool if they expanded on this idea at some point in the future. Can you imagine how cool it would be to see the Frieza Force and the Galactic Patrol launch space armies at one another? Someone else tell Akira Toriyama about this. He's still got all of our numbers blocked. Anyway, then Goku and Vegeta showed up and it was time for the main event. Only this time, Frieza wasn't playing around. Frieza didn't just come back to Earth with an army and a bad attitude. No, he came back with a new form. Seems like he learned from that one time a Saiyan cut his cyborg body into ribbons when he was trying to make a comeback. Frieza was ready to debut his new Golden Frieza form. Funnily enough, the Golden Frieza was the name of the awards Frieza Force members got if they did a good enough job. Frieza was the only person who ever won the award though. Well, you know how political awards can be. Unfortunately, Goku and Vegeta had just mastered Super Saiyan Blue, and Frieza found himself outmatched again. So he decided to do his plan B and blow up the freaking Earth. Yes, Frieza accomplished what so many Dragon Ball villains have wanted to do, cementing himself as the franchise's evilest person. The real tragedy is that Goku reversed time and destroyed him, so he doesn't even know. The poor guy has no idea that he accomplished his life's work. Stupid Goku and his time travel. After Dragon Ball's long absence since Dragon Ball Z went off the air, fans were excited to see what the new series would bring to the table. And yeah, I see you GT fans in the comments. We will not be acknowledging that here, regardless of how cool the Omega Shenron arc was. The new series showed that it wasn't messing around by introducing a literal god to face off against Goku. This character was so powerful that even prideful people Vegeta and Frieza were terrified of him. Talk is cheap though, action is all that matters. That's why it was so awesome when Beerus faced off against Goku and made him look like Yajirobe. You know it's bad when Super Saiyan 3 barely hurts a guy. Goku got shamed in front of Bubbles and Gregory. That had to be a blow to his pride. In order to face off against the God of Destruction, Goku had to evolve beyond the realm of the Super Saiyan. With the help of Gohan, Vegeta, and all the other Saiyans, he managed to achieve the unthinkable. Goku finally became a god. This led to one of the coolest showdowns in the series. Beerus and Goku fought from the depths of the planet all the way to outer space. Even after his god form faded away, Goku still gave it his all. He managed to earn Beerus's respect, but he still decided to destroy the Earth. Well, a few rocks, but it still counts. Beerus may be many things, but he is a god of his word. Ultimately though, was it Goku or the pudding that won Beerus over? I think we all know the real answer. Who would have thought that Bulma's caterer may have been the savior of the Earth? Not all heroes wear an orange gi, you know. If the Tournament of Power was Dragon Ball Super's entree, the Universe 6 Saga was an appetizer. The saga introduced characters that will hopefully get more spotlight later in the franchise. Frost, Cabba, and Vegeta all made quite the impression, but none of them were the main event. That prize goes to the coldest assassin in the multiverse, Hit. We've seen a lot of cool villains over the years, but none who have a battle strategy like Hit's. The warrior uses time manipulation and pinpoint accuracy to dodge opponents and deal lethal damage. Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta proves to be entirely ineffective against Hit, who barely seems to perceive the Saiyan Prince as a threat. Goku turns out to be a more worthy adversary for him, but jumps out of the ring before they can truly settle things. Jiren in the Tournament of Power may get all the attention now, but for a while, Hit was considered the coolest DBS character. Fans of the internet thought that he was the most lethal character in the multiverse and would likely become a major player. Unfortunately, he got upstaged by a different bald alien. So ESPN is officially putting Hit on the Dragon Ball Underdog Hall of Fame. There he sits right next to Pecan, Cooler, and Oob. Hopefully all of you will get your due one day, old friends. Every Dragon Ball has that one arc that just doesn't live up to the rest. Do you remember that time that DBZ confused its own canon by doing a Garlic Jr. arc? Of course you don't, because you wisely blocked that out of your mind like all the rest of us did. The Copy-Vegeta arc is the Garlic Jr. of Dragon Ball Super. It has strange purple aliens, hijinks, and some not-so-memorable action sequences. The only thing that redeems this strange trip to planet Potafu is that we got to see some Gotenks action. Sure, the lovable warrior got punked out by Vegeta and Barney the dinosaur fused together, but it was nice to see him get some action. Yamcha has had a rough time since the original Dragon Ball. He went from being the franchise's Han Solo to being the guy who never gets invited to do tournaments anymore. Even Tien got to be in the Tournament of Power. What makes matters worse is that they explained that Goku simply forgot to ask Yamcha to participate. That has gotta be a Wolf Fang fist to the heart. Luckily, Yamcha got one moment in the sun during Dragon Ball Super. In the show's strangest arc, the gang decides to play an intense game of baseball. Yamcha, now a baseball star, has to compete with gods and Super Saiyans on his home turf. In the end, Yamcha scores the winning run and gets praised by his friends. It's not exactly the locker room scene from Rudy, but it's something. Yamcha, just know that all of us here at this fake sports channel consider you to be a baseball legend. Not that that probably helps you much. In the earliest moments of Dragon Ball Super, Vegeta found himself facing the most difficult challenge of his entire life. The Saiyan Prince has faced Goku, alien warlords, deadly androids, and even the evil in his own heart. None of these things prepared him for his ultimate test of will, though. That is, of course, his family vacation. Say what you will about this silly scene from episode 2, but it's actually a really impressive Vegeta moment. The man's not known for his patience or his flexibility. He's ruled almost entirely by his Saiyan pride and his love of a good monologue. Spending an entire day doing family fun activities instead of training is probably how Vegeta would describe his worst nightmare. Somehow, he hung in there though and managed to make some memories for Trunks and Bulma to hold on to as he jets off to fight the next baddie. The creators managed to make a family moment warm enough for a Pixar film. Well, if Pixar had former alien warlords. That's why we officially named Vegeta as the Universe 7 Dad of the Year. Vegeta is the cool, distant warrior dad that we all secretly wanted. Trunks' dad really can beat up your dad. Well, unless you're Goten, that is. There you have it, all of the most epic moments from Dragon Ball Super. Which saga is your favorite? Tournament of Power or Golden Frieza? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more anime action from CBR.